This is where the Western Ghats merge into the Eastern Ghats, and the modern states of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala meet in a tri-junction. The region is known as the Nilgiris. The heights may not be heady like in the Himalayas, but the mountains are much older. This is the home of Todas, Kotas, Irulas, Paniyas and Kurumbas. This velvety vegetable cover that lends the earth such distinction is a resplendent example of the rich natural inheritance. This tract of land is the Shola country, the domain of primeval rainforests.
We are in the foothills of the Nilgiris, and this area is a scrub jungle mainly consisting of species like Gyrocarpus, Albizia amara, etc. Even valuable species like sandalwood are also present in this tract. Sandalwood, as you know, is well threatened by the smuggling activities in both Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, where it is found in plenty. And we are taking efforts to conserve some of the rare varieties of the sandalwood, the best genetic material of sandalwood, and try to multiply through tissue culture so that we do not lose this rare genetic material forever. We are also having in this area species like Albizia amara and neem, which has a lot of potential. This Albizia amara is used as a natural shampoo, and the neem, as you know, is being used as biopesticide widely. This neem is can kill almost 75 types of insects, and a lot of work is being done by this university for developing neem as a biopesticide. From the foothills of Mettupalayam, now we have come to a level of 2000 feet above sea level, and what you see here is the tropical dry deciduous forest, which is quite different from the scrub jungle we saw earlier. Here the crown density is better, the crown cover is more. The same species what we have seen in the plains, they grow much taller. As you can see, the Albizia amara, the whistle tree, growing very tall here.
This beautiful hill station of Ooty, Udhagamandalam, to give it its proper name, was for years the most recognizable part of the Nilgiris. It was developed as a summer resort by the British, and in course of time blossomed as a salubrious sanatorium and a peerless playground where those with means could escape from the oppressive heat of the plains. The once gem-like Ooty, this queen of Indian hill stations, has lost much of its luster. This natural mixed rainforest is known as the Shola. The structure of the canopy cover is two-tiered, and the atmospheric condition that prevails is akin to a glasshouse. The unique combination of heat and humidity have created conditions extremely conducive for the fecundity of the forest. This Shola forest displays a distinct personality of its own and stands out among other types of forests in India.
The Shola term is derived from Tamil word Sholai, meaning tropical rainforest. The Shola forests are generally found throughout the rolling downs of the hills. They are mostly situated on the heads of streams originating from the converging folds of the hills.
Inside these forests, we find Nilgiri rhododendrons, ferns, indicating the presence of a high level of moisture. Shola tree trunks are covered with lichens, mosses, and epiphytes like orchids, and woody climbers.
The Todas live traditionally in the Shola grassland system, and Todas in every ritual, that is from their birth ceremonies right up till their funeral ceremonies, they have to go through so many rituals, and it is mandatory for every Toda to go through all these rituals. Only then he goes to the afterworld called Amanod. The Toda culture, that is their religion, their culture, as well as their economy, revolves around the buffalo. So when we are talking about a temple, now a temple is basically a dairy, right? And the priest is basically a dairyman. In the process, they've incorporated a mind-boggling variety of rituals which are unique to the Toda. There's no other tribe in the world which has evolved or made this dairy cult so specialized. For the rituals, they require specific varieties of things. If they want to make the bow, they use Sophora glauca. If they want to drink the sacred milk, they use the Mapia foetida or cockwood edge. They can't use anything else. So similarly, when they construct a temple or a hut, they only use specified produce. They use a bent, to give that barrel vaulted shape. Now the shape of this temple is copied from the rainbow. Now what happens is that they use only specified. Now this grass is called avul. Avul is found in some distant swamps. They can't use any other grass. To give that shape, they go to the northern slopes and use a thin bamboo reed called tef. Now tef, we don't even know what it is called botanically. Now they can't use any other bamboo. Similarly, everything is specified. Even the tree poles which are used in that, they can only use kudpars, they can't use any tree pole. So everything is specific. This thatch grass, if it becomes extinct in the future, their culture collapses overnight on that. So it is, in fact, we've been trying for a long time to get some agency to try and propagate this avul grass in certain swamps. In Korakunda side, one part of Nilgiris, we have these huge swamps where this grass is still found. So we've been trying to work out with the administration that certain of these swamps should be demarcated as Toda swamps for this grass, right? After all, it's biodiversity. To preserve our biodiversity, it's essential. And if we can propagate this, then we would have saved Toda culture. Because if this grass goes extinct, and the possibility is very high in the next 10 years, then overnight the Toda culture shall collapse.
Nilgiris Biosphere Reserve aims at mainly three important aspects. The first and foremost was having the in situ conservation for all living organisms, that is plants, animals and microorganisms, that is preserving the biological diversity. Secondly was catalyzing the ecologically sound development of the region. And last was having an international cooperation by having assured employment opportunities for the people dependent upon the biosphere reserve. If we see the Nilgiris area, it is country's first biosphere reserve which was declared, and it embraces an area of roughly 5,520 square kilometer, which extends in adjoining areas of Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, though the major portion falls in Tamil Nadu sector only. Now if we see the genesis of this biosphere reserve concept, it can be traced back to the Man and Biosphere Reserve program of UNESCO, launched in the year 1971. And the idea of this launching of this program was to develop a rational use for conservation of natural resources while improving the ecology and environment in that particular area.
Kotas are the inhabitants of this Nilgiris district. They are excellent artisans whose services as blacksmith, goldsmith, potters are indispensable to other hill tribes and other communities also. And now they are changed their attitude and they started to engage themselves in agriculture and cattle rearing.
Kotas do not worship idols, but they do have sacred temple groves, and every temple has a tree like the jamun tree. The importance of trees is apparent in their dance invocations. If thou dwell in Viki trees, come unto me. If thou art in jamun tree, come to me, O God. O light, O lamp, where thou art, come unto me, O God. The other tribes inhabiting the Nilgiris also maintain their own sacred groves. Each such grove often becomes a sanctuary for a particular species. A willow which may never be felled, though it can be used as fodder. Nagalingam is the cannonball tree with a flower looking like a cobra's hood. The resemblance to a fiery cannonball is uncanny. Champak is another popular tree.
Mudumalai Wildlife Sanctuary is a very strategic sanctuary because of its location. It is located at the tri-junction point of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala and has 321 square kilometers of tropical wilderness. The climatic variations harbors a spectrum of vegetation types. The forest types range from thorn forest to dry deciduous, moist deciduous up to semi-evergreen, and in the river stretches we have got riverine forest. This diversity of forest types is also reflected in the various faunal types, the major species being Asiatic elephant, Mudumalai Wildlife Sanctuary, which is a nature's paradise, is not without problems. The major problem being of poaching, grazing, fire, man-elephant conflict, developmental projects, tourism, etc. To briefly mention about each problem and what ameliorative measures have been undertaken. First, poaching. Poaching is being tackled with the help of the anti-poaching watchers and in coordination with the adjoining states of Karnataka and Kerala. Fire, basically it's a dry deciduous forest. So every year we get immense leaf litter and that causes a lot of fire problems. And there may be various factors attributed to the fire. We are trying to tackle this fire problem with the help of various fire protection measures like cutting fire line, fire watchers, and basically tribals are engaged as fire watchers. And also we have undertaken the help of remote sensing satellite, where we are trying to identify fire prone areas with the help of satellite imageries and tackling those areas as the first priority. Coming to the grazing, there are approximately more than 15,000 or so cattle in and around this sanctuary, and these cattle are kept as dung manufacturing machine. So we are trying our level best with the help of the NGOs and other voluntary organizations to wean away the biotic pressure of cattle population through various eco-development measures and providing alternatives. There is some sort of a response, but still we have got a big way to make it. About developmental projects, yes, we don't have that serious problem now, but yes, man-elephant conflict we do come across because we have got certain tribal and other Chettis and Panya settlement inside the sanctuary, and they are occupying the prime elephant habitat inside the park. So frequently we come across this man-elephant conflict. We are trying to work out a participatory relocation of this problem, and there is a tremendous response, and probably I think we should be able to make it. And last but not the least of the problem is the lopsided tourism development around the reserve. Mudumalai, I would quote it as a typical example where we have been successful in streamlining the tourism as per our ecotourism principles. As regards the other developmental activities in Mudumalai are concerned, the main emphasis is on protection and conservation. For this, we are emphasizing more on the various aspects of the habitat parameters. Especially you see, food, water and cover. These are the three important aspects in any protected area management. Now, one of the aspects which we pay more emphasis is on the water, because as far as the food and cover part is concerned, Mudumalai has got diversity of vegetational types and it is self-sufficient. But as regards the water, it becomes a pinching constraint in the lean season, and that's why we take up lot of water harvesting measures, especially like check dams and gully plugging and so many other things. And with this, we are able to sustain the wetland ecosystem also. We are trying our level best to keep the swamps in Mudumalai viable, because that forms the major food component for the animal, and that is one aspect we have tried to develop here as a wetland conservation aspect in Mudumalai. Other aspects include species specific management like sloth bear. We have tried to develop some sort of a cover providing artificial caves or maybe nesting boxes for birds. Besides this, another component is tribal development. We are engaging tribals as fire watchers, anti-poaching watchers and so many departmental operations, so that we are able to elicit their cooperation in our activities. And as far as we feel, tribals do play an important role in sustainable development of an area, and especially in the long viability of the ecosystem. This is one of the oldest and most scientifically managed elephant camps in the country. Basically, this camp was started during the British period for timber operations, but now we find that there is no timber operations, so now we are using these animals for various other operations like patrolling purposes, for joyrides, for kumki operations when we try to rescue some other wild animal with the help of our departmental animals, and for various other activities. Like recently we have started elephant show for the benefit of the tourists and also to educate the people about the upbringing and ecology of the animal. One good point about this elephant camp is, here all Mahouts and Kavadis are Kurumba tribals, and this is one of the camp where we don't issue any billhook or ankush to the Mahouts. So these animals are being managed by just a mere stick. The animal health is being monitored very effectively by our veterinary unit. The veterinary unit has got a doctor and a veterinary lab, and we have got a very scientific way of administering diet. That is, work diet is different from the rest diet.
The elephant's diet is special. It consists of salt, jaggery, horse gram, ragi flour, coconuts and rice. Just a tasty tidbit for a huge appetite. The tribals are the children of the forest, the true inheritors to the distilled wisdom of generations. The health of the forest ensures not only their physical survival, but also the conservation of their culture. They can never dream nor dare to despoil nature. The Shola forest has for them a consecrated presence. It is only with the spread of so-called civilization that this sacrilege has made its appearance on the sacred groves. Man's greed and indifference of administration have dealt severe blows to the pristine beauty of the once majestic rainforests. Overexploitation of the resources of the forest has led to dangerous depletion. Man-made forests cannot repair the ravages caused by reckless profiteering. The wealth, nay, the survival of the jungle appears imperiled. Cultivation of cash crops have put an unbearable burden on the land. Not only is the number of exotic species diminishing at an alarming rate, the drying up of life-sustaining streams is causing great concern. The pressures generated by progress have scarred the beautiful face of the Nilgiris. The disfigurement caused by landslide seems to warn us that we must hasten to take preventive, precautionary measures if a tragic calamity is to be averted. The gift of gods. The Shola forest must be preserved at all costs.
Water is the most important resource from a forest. In fact, water is the only resource you should be drawing from a forest. The moment you start exploiting them for biomass or for timber operations or for industrial applications or any of these aspects, what suffers is hydrology. Barring probably the situation in northeast, I don't think anywhere in India we have such a large chunk of forest, though interspersed with people, with cultivation and other human activities. In the Nilgiri biosphere, you still have a large chunk of forest. Now, if these forests have to remain viable, there has to be continuity. Actual continuity as forests in itself may be very difficult, but at least corridors where animals can move in and out of these places. This is the only way we could ensure the genetic viability of our animal populations as well as our forest populations. Having the Nilgiris declared as a designated ecological sensitive zone under the EP Act could be one such positive measure that can mitigate the shortcomings that we have now at this point of time in terms of the legal and policy framework needed to protect. The other case is that of animal corridors. Most often the government says there is no money to buy these corridors. These corridors are essential. Now they could be acquired much like the Kerala Vesting and Assignment Act under special provision like the agrarian reform. This could be the ecological reform. And if there is a legal provision to acquire these corridors, then maybe there is a last hope to preserve these forests. And maybe this is our last chance.
We have to identify the committed NGOs and take their cooperation in the wildlife extension or protected area management, or rather creating eco-awareness amongst the mind of the people to wean away the various biotic pressures. But more important than that, I feel the role of the tribals living and dependent upon the forest is much more important. Because you see, these people, they are dependent for their sustenance on the forest area. And if we take these people into confidence, definitely we can elicit their cooperation in so many activities.
The wealth of the plains really depends upon the health of the hills. Therefore, it would be very much necessary to protect and preserve the natural resources in the hills.